Okay, I don't draw it on the wicks, not at all. I draw it on the body closures. I don't draw it on the wicks, the body closures. Okay, so I only draw it on the zones that hasn't been broken yet. So you never draw it on, let's say, this is not a zone. No, it's definitely not a zone. And the way most people have been taught, the way I've been taught, is you need to go ahead and plot each and every zone, and then plot the zone right over here, plot the zone right over here, because we have a touch, a touch, a touch. No, it does not make any sense, guys. Okay, it has to make sense. So if you have all of these lines cluttered on your chart, of course you're not going to know what you're doing. Of course it's not going to make any sense. You're not going to understand where the market is going, or what you have to wait for when you have all these lines drawn up on your chart. Then you're going to say, okay, if we break this one, we're going to continue to do this one. It's not going to make any sense. Okay, so like I said, we always go to the higher time frames. Now once we're on the higher time frames, we track the zones that hasn't been broken yet. So my zones are blue, but first and foremost I want you to take note of this. We have one is our tradable zones. I'm not gonna write out the whole thing. Let me just type it out. We have two zones. One is our tradable zones, and two is our confluence zones. Does this mean we don't take trades off from our confluence zones? Not at all. They can also become tradable zones as long as they are confluence, as long as they agree with the higher time frame. You understand clearer how everything comes together, but just take note of that. So we start on the weekly. Now on the weekly, what do we see? Okay, we have a support right over here, and I make all of my higher time frame levels blue. As you can see, support, and it has been touched there. Now I know I'm gonna get question like, why don't you make it like this? It does not matter. I just like my charts very clean. And our nearest resistance is over here because it touched there, but this would be our cleaner one. Okay, it's not to say that this is not a resistance. It's still a resistance, but this is our closest one. And as we can see, we just created a resistance right over here, because remember, a support and resistance by definition is just two candles, especially if you're on the higher time frames, because then those two candles, they carry a lot of definition, they carry a lot of reasoning behind them. So now these are my zones, as you can see, clear and simple. I'm not going back in history because we're on the weekly chart. So these are my zone. This is zone number 1, this is zone number 2, because I know people get confused when I say zones or levels. To me it's all the same thing. So when I say zones, it's not a zone, I mean this, because a support and resistance level is not as if it's going to turn around at exactly that level. No, it is a zone. Okay, so that is what I mean. Now after one thing you have to take into consideration when drawing your zones, it has to be a clean range. For example, if we break this level right over here, what do we have? We have a clean range to the upside. If we break this level right over here, look left. Do we have a clean range? Not at all. So a more favorable position would be to the upside. Okay, just keep track of that. I don't want to get you guys sidetracked, but I'm just explaining as I'm going, and as you guys can see, I'm very passionate for this. So on the daily now, I always refine my levels as I move from time frame to time frame. As you can see, we have resistance over here. This is some crazy movement, but I'll just place mine on the majority, because on my other broker I can remember that it does make sense. Okay, so still, that's good to go. This is one as well. Now I want you guys to take note of this. This looks extremely confusing. So I'm not saying that these are not zones. I'm not saying they're not zones, not at all. But I'm just removing them for now because they don't I have no use for them. Once price gets there, then we will use them. I will probably put one here. Is this one? Yes, it definitely is. But the range from after we broke this level to this downside is minuscule. So that's not an important range for me to plot on my daily time frame. Okay, now what I would do in this situation, and this just comes with preference, is I'll move my zone up a little bit because it's closer, and what I do with my exhaustion zone is I just draw an arrow because it looks cleaner. Okay, so I can draw a zone marking out this exhaustion and make it another color, but I don't want to because I don't like my charts that way. I like it clean and simple. Exactly the same with this exhaustion. I can see, alright, we have exhaustion, and with this one we have exhaustion. Okay, clean and simple, guys. I'm not even looking at structure in this video, but let's just run over structure quickly. Okay, as you can see, we are making higher low, but then we made a lower low, we made a higher low again, we made a high, but then we made a lower high. So what is this telling us? This is immediately telling us that the market is in a range. So I'm plotting my horizontal levels. Once again, guys, this is just preference. Now I know that these ones need to be broken. Okay, so let's go, we were on the daily, let's go to the weekly, to the H4, and we can see, okay, we need to adjust this one, and this one we need to make it a little bit clearer. Let's just remove our horizontal line. This one doesn't make any sense. Remember, as I'm moving down from my analysis time frames, I'm always adjusting my zones. Okay, now we're on the smaller time frames from our analysis time frames. So I'm going to make my levels now green. Okay, remember, we're still at the first part of taking levels. These are our tradable levels. Okay, it's not our confluence levels. Okay, so please take note of this. Our confluence levels comes in support and resistance part 2. Okay, so this is just tradable levels. Okay, and as we can see, we have a resistance and we have a very nice support right over here. So let's see if this range is doable. 73 pips, yeah, it is doable, I think, as long as there's no obstruction. Like I say, guys, we want clean range. For example, let's adjust this one, and then we look to the downside. 45 pips, I guess it's okay, I guess. So now, as you guys can see, I know what you're thinking, there's a lot of levels already, I know, but these are tradable levels. It's going to make more sense as soon as we go into support and resistance part 2. Now this is the way you guys have been taught, is drawing your support and resistance with a twist. I hope it already makes a lot more sense, but we're going to dive a lot more actually into detail with this. Okay, let me just remove this. So I wanted to show you this. These are zones, these are support and resistance zones, but there's something unique I came up with that really helps. Okay, so these are tradable zones. I hope you guys took notes. It was a quick rundown. Well, I did speak quick and I did run quick through everything, but let me know if you guys are struggling with anything, and rewatch this video, rewatch it, put yourself into a calm place, go into a calm room and sort this out. Make sure you get this correct before moving on to the next phase. Okay, everybody, so I hope you guys enjoyed this section. Please rewatch each and every video before we go to assessment number 2. Good luck with the assessment. In phase 2 it's going to get juicy. So I'll see you guys there.